Greetings and welcome to Let's Play Dices. No, another vlog. I kind of thought about doing this for quite some time, and I think I already went into quite detail about that topic. But there's so much to talk about this certain topic that I always want to talk about this. I want to make sure people get my point of view on this topic. And as you may, well, depending on what I put in the title of the video, the video is about why I do not like or haven't played a lot of story-heavy role-playing games, or story-heavy games in general. One thing I want to make sure before I start talking, or before I going to explain a lot of things, is unless I specifically state it, I forgot what I wanted. Yes. Unless I specifically say this game is bad or this game sucks, blah blah. The following games that I'm talking about aren't bad. I am not saying they are bad. Most of them are just not my cup of tea. I don't like sports games. That doesn't mean that all sports games are bad. I personally don't like, I don't know, Babylon 5. That doesn't mean that that I think Babylon 5 is bad. I just don't care for it. I'm not reading a lot of books. That's not because I hate books or I think all the stories are books. It just doesn't interest me. Same with these games that I'm now talking about, and so on. Okay. Story-heavy RPGs. I often got people asking me, are you really a role-playing fan if you haven't played or don't like certain role-playing games, especially these story-heavy ones? How could you say you love role-playing games but don't like story? That doesn't fit together. That doesn't. I mean, role-playing games are story. You are your character. You are playing your story, or you're playing with other people a story the GM gives you, and so on. And they are right in the pen and paper world, in my opinion. What's important for me in a role-playing game, and you may see this, are numbers. What makes a role-playing game unique? Numbers. Story, yes, role-playing games usually have a lot of story because it kind of fits, or the roots came from story-heavy stuff, or semi-heavy stuff, but you can put a story in every game, in every genre. You can put a story in a sports game. You are like this lone boy in the streets, and you are following his career to become one of the biggest millionaires on earth because he's so awesome at playing soccer, and then it may work out. It may work out. The story doesn't have to do with RPGs. The story is available in every genre. So that's not the meat of an RPG. The meat of an RPG, numbers. If an RPG has a pretty stupid rule set and so on, then it is not my cup of tea. And there's certain other reasons why I don't like certain RPGs. People always say, well, what about the Ultima series? The Ultima series, so epic stories, so deep and evolving and stuff like that. And Ultima Underworld 1 and 2, milestones in the genre because so awesome, and they are better engine-wise than Dungeon Master, the game you love so much. and they have this deep story and stuff like that. In case some of you may have forgotten, but ich bin aus Deutschland, ich bin Deutscher und meine Muttersprache ist Deutsch. I'm German. I'm from Germany and my native language is German. Yes. I was born 1983. Born 1983. Ultima 3 Exodus was released at that time. So, yeah. I didn't really play video games right after I came out and were like, yeah, here I am, give me games. I wasn't like that. I played a lot of games when I went to kindergarten. There were several reasons for that. Mostly because the kindergarten was near my grandmother and my uncle. And my uncle had an Amiga. So, yeah, Ultima 4, I have a list here. Ultima 4 came out 1985, Ultima 5 came out 1988, I was 5 at that time. I already played a lot of Dungeon Master at the time, so, well, my uncle didn't have it. The other problem, like I said, I'm from Germany, my native language is German, is I didn't learn English until I went to the 5th grade. I was 10 years at the time. Then I slowly started learning English. Well, I just fucked up the grammar there, so I still have to learn a lot. You understand this little problem why I didn't? And back in the days, translations weren't that common. So I played Ultima Underworld quite a few years after it got released, and at that time I already played, in my opinion, better games. And Dungeon Master, my uncle had a copy of Dungeon Master for the Amiga, and it was in German. I could play it, even though I could barely read, but I could understand Dungeon Master. I could read way before going to elementary school, kind of creepy. But yeah, so that's Daggerfall, for example. Daggerfall came out 1996. I was 13 at the time. And I have to say, I wasn't that good at English when I started learning it. I kind of became good at English, or could read and understand it fluently around the age of 14, 15. Before that, I could understand English, and my vocabulary wasn't that huge. I could read a text, and with a dictionary I could understand it, of course. But speaking English fluently, yeah, about 15, 16, when I started playing EverQuest. You kind of had to learn this in the language there. But yeah, so I did buy Daggerfall, and it looked really nice. The only problem with Daggerfall was, I couldn't really follow the story. The game was totally in English, and the game was bugged up the ass. So this game wasn't really enjoyable for me. So the big games at the time, Ultima, story heavy, stuff like that, I didn't play it because I couldn't understand it. Daggerfall, buggy piece of shit. And the internet wasn't that common at the time. Oh gosh, it wasn't common. Anyways, what did I play? I started my role-playing career with Dungeon Master. It was in German. I followed up, you could kinda say, the fairy tale adventures, maybe. Like that, like an RPG, it has numbers in it and lots of exploration. It's an action adventure, actually. But I also played it a lot, and I bought Eye of the Beholder 2 for the Amiga. It was in German too. I could understand it. That's the main reason why I didn't play a lot of old games that was story heavy, because I could not understand them. And what I've learned, kinda learned nowadays, is a lot of old old retro games, not only role-playing games, retro games in general. If you haven't played them yourself when you were younger, then it is not really appealing to get into them. I did play, at the moment I'm playing Magic Carpet, and I did play the game when I was younger, but I can understand someone playing Magic Carpet and saying, what is this piece of shit? Oh yeah. So what games did I play? Dungeon Master, Eye of the Beholder. I also got all 3 Eye of the Beholder games. I got Eye of the Beholder in English for the Super Nintendo, Eye of the Beholder 1. The good thing with Eye of the Beholder 1 is there wasn't that much to read. I didn't have to read a lot. Sure, I was like, yeah, they're talking to me. I have no idea what you're doing. I want to explore the rest of the dungeon, please. And Ravenloft, I think, got a translation. I'm fairly certain that what's his face, Ravenloft, Strahd's Possession, that got a translation. I have the German version of this game. One of the main reasons why I haven't let's played it. I think Menzoberranzan also got a translation. So another game that I played. Later on, I did catch up with older games and played them, like the Pool of Radiance series. Of course, the Might and Magic series. It started with 4 and 5. They got translated to German. 3, I played 3 after 4 and 5. Got translated to German too. Later on, Baldur's Gate is from Baldur's Gate on. You can kind of say that every big game that came out got translated to German. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But the problem is, so that kind of explains why I'm not a big fan of the older games. Or why I never really played the older big titles. I played quite a lot of Wizardry 5 too on the Super Nintendo. It was in English too. But I could kinda advance in it pretty good. I never beat it because this game is hard as shit. But yeah, if the game didn't have a lot of dialogue or a lot of texts, I could play it when I was younger. So starting with Daniel turned 16, 17, 18, whatever. Let's carry on with the newer releases, because games like Mass Effect, Gothic, Risen, they all have translations, of course, so you don't have to play them in English. The problem with... I didn't like Gothic. I played Gothic, it didn't appeal to me. That's the main reason. I didn't find it too hard. The problem with Gothic, in my opinion, I will talk about this later, like always. My problem with Gothic is you couldn't create your own character. And I have no idea why, because as far as I know in the Gothic series, it doesn't matter who you are. You are the nameless one. I think you even lose your memory in the start of every game, so you are not like a secret chosen one or something, as far as I know. Spoiler alert. But so it made no sense that you couldn't create your own character. And I'm not a big fan of role-playing games where you cannot create your own character. Another game that I played quite a lot, which was dialogue heavy, was Neverwinter Nights. I loved Neverwinter Nights. The main reason, you see these? The game was full of them. The game was full of numbers. I could create characters all day long. And I loved it. I did play the Realms of Arcania series. I never finished 1 and 2. Because I'm not a huge fan of games where I feel like I can fuck up the game. That's one of the main reasons why I never got into the zero adventure games. I don't like games where I'm not sure, am I missing something? or did I fuck up the game? And that's why I didn't really like Star Trail, for example, because I went in one direction. I was like, yeah, I will go this way. Where the fuck do I have to go? Did anybody tell me where I have to go? No? Somewhere to the south, I guess? Yeah, good. Oh well. This was the same with Star Trail. Blade of Destiny. I also, on the other hand, I loved Shadows of Weaver, because you had this confined story in one city, and I prefer that. I prefer a well-told linear story way much than open-endedness. I will talk about this later. Another game that I honestly I really despise this game is Planescape Torment. Seriously, I have no idea why this game got so many fans and oh so awesome. Oh. In my opinion, this game is so bad. The thing is, perhaps it has an awesome story. Perhaps it has a... Why does it have to be like Baldur's Gate? I did not understand this. If you want to tell a story in a video game, why are you not doing like visual novels? The Phoenix Wright series is a perfect example. It tells a good story and an interesting story. Why did you not do something like that? People like visual novels. The problem with Planescape Torment, you create your character, you cannot wear armor. So your main character shouldn't really be a warrior type. Then in the game, a lot of dialogue options are dependent on your intelligence skill, are dependent on your charisma skill. I'm like, yeah, fuck this. So you kind of have to play a wizard. The problem with being a wizard is the wizard has like the worst class quest ever. It is a fetch quest of armor like no tomorrow. So I was playing this game and I was like, I'm not enjoying this, and why should I play something that I'm not enjoying? If I want a good, well-told story, I will read a book. Same with Planescape Torment. A lot of text is... You have to read a lot of text. Why should I play an interactive game when all I'm doing is sitting down and reading? That doesn't fit. It just does not fit. In my opinion. Well, then again, I kind of dislike the story part. Spoiler alert. They had the same problem with the action game The Suffering. Your past was dependent on the actions you choose in your current game. Take The Suffering, for example. You were like this bloke who could turn into a monster and kill people, and you are in prison because your family died on unexplained circumstances. So if you play the evil mode, or you always have evil decisions, then it turns out you turned into a monster and killed your family. But if you do not do the evil things and do the good things, then it turns out that, I don't know, your kid fell out of the window and your wife kind of collapsed and died or something like that. And I'm like, really? Okay, The Suffering is not a heavy story-based game, but you kind of have this, as far as I know, the same story in Planescape Torment. If you're an asshole in the game, you've become an asshole. You were an asshole in the past. And you killed people and whatever, and then you find out, yeah, I have been an asshole. Of course. What kind of storyline is this? Why is not the past? The past is set, and then you kind of find out in different ways depending on how you behave now. I don't know. Would make more sense in my opinion. Anyways. And that's the other problem I have with games, but more to that later. I have to talk about another game, what people usually love, and it is a good game. One of the few games, it was a retro game, I didn't catch on this audio. One of the few games where I say I didn't get the hang of it, or I couldn't immerse myself too much into it, but it is a good game, and that is the Fallout series. Yes, I can already hear the people like, you hate Fallout, I will find out where you live and kill you. Like I said, it is a good series, well, except 3. But I started the game, Fallout 1, and the first thing that bothered me, you have 150 days left. And I'm like, yeah, fuck. That kinda sucks. I hate time limits in video games. Like I said, I hate it when I do not know if I fucked up the game somehow, and I honestly don't feel like playing quite a lot just to find out, yeah, you kinda took too long, have fun. So I have to restart all over again. I'm like, yeah, I'm not into that. Honestly, no. I did play the game. I did play it a little bit. I kind of explored the world from time to time and stuff. It was good. I just didn't like the time limit. I know there are 5,000 ways to get around the time limit, like sending a water resource caravan there, so you get like 100 days more, and the time limit is pretty lenient and stuff like that. I didn't know this when I started the game. Now I know it. Now I can play the game. It's not a big problem. Fallout 2 I did play a little bit more, even though there is a time limit, but you aren't told about this. But the time limit, again, very lenient. The problem with Fallout 2 was I was broke all the time, and there was this option to become a slave master, and I didn't expect that becoming a slave master fucks up my character that much, because quite a lot of people didn't want to interact with me later on. So I was like, yeah, I'm like 10-15 hours into this game. I do not feel like starting all over again. Anyways, like I said, Fallout, good story, good game, very enjoyable, but it didn't catch up to me. I preferred games like, Icewind Dale 2, not 1, 2, Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, and all the older stuff. Yes, I also said I will talk about it later. It's all the same topic, and that is, I personally cannot immerse myself into most role-playing games. And in my opinion, immersion is kind of an important part of playing a role-playing game. For some reason, it was possible for me to do this in Dungeon Master, or I didn't really felt the need to immerse myself too much into this game. But when I fought the monsters, I've really felt like I'm battling these monsters. I'm not like, okay, I have to do this, the big fireball now, and it does 250 damage, and they have 300 hit points, and then I have to do this. I didn't feel like this when I was playing Dungeon Master, because, well, I was a little kid. But even nowadays, I don't feel it. Same with the Might and Magic series. I never... The funny thing is, I think I beat the Might and Magics 4 and 5 without ever upgrading my weapon. Because it wasn't really necessary. It's kind of sad, but yeah. What my problem is with modernish games, and it may be because of my introvertness. Introvert people kind of think differently and act differently and stuff like that. I cannot immerse myself into these games for several reasons. Let's take Fallout, for example. People always say, well, when I'm creating my own character, I kinda usually play how I would act in a situation like that. Or if the character itself talks quite a lot, then I often feel alienated by how the character acts. Or if you have a sandbox game, I don't feel it is sandboxy enough. Like I said, take Fallout. I recently played Fallout, and I went to the first city, Shady Sands or something like that, and one of the townsfolk told me like, if you want to go to Vault 15, you should bring a rope with you because the ladder is broken. Okay. There was no chat option like, where can I find a rope? There was a button, ask about. I put in rope. I've never heard of that. So I'm like, why can't I ask the people around town where they saw a rope, if they have a rope, if they want to trade perhaps something for a rope, and so on. It didn't work out. I had to barter with every townsfolk until I think the guard at the beginning, he had a rope. But even if I asked him about rope, he told me I have no idea what you're talking about. And that kind of destroys my immersion. Yes, I am nitpicking, but it does destroy my immersion into a game. It's the same with Oblivion, for example. Oh my god. The problem with Oblivion is you start off as this nobody. You are in jail. And then the Emperor comes and Jean-Luc Picard tells me, oh, I dreamed about you and here is, I'm going to die soon because the plot tells so. And here's the Amulet of Kings and you have to bring this to my bastard son and stuff like that. If you do not do this, then the whole world is fucked and stuff like that. And then I went out of the sewer and you have this open world. You could give a flying rat's ass about the story. The thing is, if you go to the place he told you about, you just see a siege from one of the Bolivian gates to a city. This siege will be there for the next 500 years if you do not go to this place. And I'm like, really? Perhaps I demand too much, or I don't know, but this honestly pisses me off. Then don't give me a story at all. Either you make the story alive, like if I fuck around too much, then don't screw me over, but have changes in the world. Like, if I do not hurry up with my quest, then destroy a town. An unimportant town with barely any quests in it. And people are like, oh, did you hear that? The Oblivion Gates, they destroyed this and this town. Oh, it's horrible, it's horrible. So I may be inclined to do the main quest. But if you cannot do this or do not want to do this, then don't give me a main quest at all. Just be like, here's your game world. Have fun. I could live with that. I don't need an overarching story, but yeah. Well, another problem with Oblivion, and this is one of the main problems I always have with stories, is what makes me special? Why do I have to do all the work? Why do you not give me like 10 people with me? Like, give me 10 soldiers and off I go and then I will destroy everything. Because if I can do this on my own, why can't I do this with 10 more people? I mean, I can understand this if I am the chosen one or something, and I can kinda live with that, but I don't know. Mass Effect. I have to talk about Mass Effect because that was the main reason why I started this. First of all, I'm not a big fan of space futuristic role-playing games. I honestly don't care for them too much. I don't know. For me, role-playing is Tolkien. Dwarves, elves, goblins, orcs, all this stuff. That's role playing for me. I can't immerse myself too much into the role of someone who lives in the 50,000th century or something. So Mass Effect kinda has a problem there. And the main problem with Mass Effect and other games that I have is you create your own character, but the character doesn't act like I would do. A lot of the times I get options and I'm like, why do I get these options? Why not different ones? Why? I feel too chained. I don't have this problem. I wouldn't have this problem in a good pen and paper group. In a good pen and paper group, I can make suggestions and the game master tells me, well, yeah, you can do this because of this and that. I had a problem, the biggest problem I had like this was in Dragon Age. And yes, I did not like Dragon Age. Right at the beginning, Alistair, or what was his face? I don't know. Alistair, I think. He tells you about this place where you should start your search. It's a castle or something. And you go to this castle and you find out that the son of one of the leaders of the castle, I can't remember anymore, is possessed by a demon. And every night he sends off legions of undead to the town and they have to fight them. So you have several options now. If you have a mage in your party, or if you are a mage, I think, you can do some sort of ritual to get rid of the demon. There is a guy in the basement you can force or ask to do a ritual for you, I think. Or you go to the mages and ask them for help and take them back. The main thing is that everyone is like, this is really important, you have to hurry, blah 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 blah. If I went another route, nothing would have happened there, I think. And my first idea was, the boy is normal during the day. So there's not much of demonic possession going on there. Why is it not possible that I take the hilt of my blade, knock him unconscious, and drag him over to the mages? Like, put him in a cage, stuff like that. Tie him to a rope, and things like that. So he cannot move anymore, he cannot do anything. The demon itself is still in the boy's body and doesn't have a lot of inhuman power, and he just can summon a few skeletons. Why can't I just take him and put him on a cart and with a horse and ride to the mage's tower? It wasn't that far away. I didn't get the option, and I was like, yeah, fuck you. Another thing, and this is usually in BioWare games, is how you handle your party. Usually your party is like this group of individuals, and depending on your decisions, they may or may not like you more, or hate you more, and stuff like that. You also had this in Star Wars: The Old Republic. And there was, in my opinion, another big immersion killer. I decided to play an evil character. Usually evil characters in most, even in Neverwinter Nights or all BioWare games, if you play an evil character, it plays so out of character. I think everybody would just put a bullet through your eyes if you act like that in real life. You play such a huge asshole usually in worlds where the life of a person isn't really that important. People would just fucking murder you if you play like that. And it was after the intro, the prologue or something, you were with Alistair and a few Grey Warden recruits. And when you leave town, then there's this wounded soldier who crawls up to you, and after a few chit-chat, you have the option to help him, where he stands up and drags himself to the camp, or to kill him, because you do not have enough time for this, according to your character. And of course, I choose the evil option. I killed him. I killed a person in cold blood. Alistair, you know this, he's kind of snarky from time to time, but he's still a good guy. The only thing he had to say was giving me a snarky comment. I lost, I think, 10 faction points with him, and that's it. I killed a person, and the only thing that I get is Alistair didn't like me that much anymore. The funny thing is, you can buy presents for the people, and this is something, I have to say this, in Star Wars The Old Republic. I was playing an evil bounty hunter. I wanted to play an evil bounty hunter. I wanted the Sith corruption, even though I was playing a bounty hunter, and I have no idea how this worked out, to make me really evil. And there was this one quest where you kind of used a bounty, or someone who had a bounty in his head, as a bait for another bounty hunter you had to kill. So you found the scientist, and you was like, yeah, you are alive for now because we need to catch the other bounty hunter. In this second, the other bounty hunter arrived, and we killed him. And my partner, she was like, yay, that's awesome, la 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 la. And then I had the option like, wait, she has a bounty on her head, doesn't she? And she's like, yeah. And then I had the option, the evil option, was to get the bounty from her. The evil option for a bounty hunter was to get bounty. Good. And the good option was to let her free. Okay, I chose the evil option. I killed the woman. Collected the bounty, got a bit more money out of that. My partner, I lost, I think, 15 faction points with my partner. We went to the city. I went to a gift shop. I bought a hologram projector for her. I have to say, I lost 15 points. I bought a hologram projector, I think for 1000 credits. That's not that much anymore in later levels. And I got plus 83 faction points. Huh? I could murder 5 people in cold blood, and I would still get more reputation with her if I give her this damn holoprojector. For nothing. I don't know. If my best friend tells me, well, I killed 5 people today, then I would be pretty... I don't know if I would be like, yeah, oh, you bought me this game. Oh, that's so nice of you. Hey, everything is forgotten. I don't know. Perhaps I know I am overthinking this. But it is just totally ridiculous. And I can't immerse myself into that. So, a lot of role-playing games where you choose your own character, but in my opinion, I cannot play my own character because there aren't the options there. I don't like them. Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Gothic, Risen. In Risen, you start off as this nobody. Again, you are nobody, you aren't anyone important, you cannot choose your own gender. You cannot choose if you want to be a hairy guy, if you want to be a bald guy. You are this guy. Without any backstory whatsoever. Then you start playing this game and suddenly my character starts insulting people in a bandit camp. In a bandit camp where he wants to, well, be part of. And he starts insulting people. I'm like, why the fuck are you doing this? I wouldn't do that. If I were a bandit camp, people who could beat me up in a wimp, I wouldn't insult them. I am pretty sure about that. So there comes the other kind of story RPGs that I can tolerate or accept. The Witcher. Take The Witcher. Of course, you cannot create your own character. But the big difference is this story is tailored to your character. You are Jared, Garrett, Gerald, whatever. You are a witcher. You have your backstory, even though you lost your memory. And I can immerse myself into the dialogue options, even though I wouldn't react like that. How would Garrett react like that? Because I already have a character. Somebody already gave me a character to play with. I know how he would act, and I can kind of play a little bit around. There's a lot of wiggle room. There aren't really that huge gaps in the story. In the story, yes, but not in the options. There is no, okay, I will save the orphanage, or I will burn the orphanage to the ground and do whatever. There's usually the option, do you want to save the orphanage, or do you want to save other people? And depending on how you choose there, the story kind of unfolds. But it's still kind of samey. There is no good and evil option. One of the options I had is, do I go with the leader of the Witchers and fight a dragon, or do I go with the witch that I just nailed 5 minutes ago and make sure that the invaders don't get into our secret laboratory? So that's the option that I had, and I kind of like options like that. It makes the game feel alive and stuff like that. I wouldn't like the option like, do you help your leader of the Witchers, or do you cut his head off? Because, well, and yeah, a lot of people always say that this has a lot of things to do with intelligence and stuff like that. What kind of games you prefer, and what you like and what you don't like. And in my opinion, that's one of the biggest piles of bullshit ever I've ever heard in a video. I've ever heard in a comment or read or whatever. Just because you play role-playing games does not make you intelligent. Just because you like a certain genre of role-playing games does not make you intelligent. At the moment, I cannot immerse myself into a good role-playing game because I can only play at the weekends. I did buy The Witcher, and I really enjoyed the beginning, and I played it quite a lot, but then I couldn't play it for a week, during the week, and on the next weekend I had to record, and I didn't feel like playing The Witcher, and then I went back to the game 2 weeks later, and I'm like, okay, where the fuck am I? What the fuck do I have to go? Damn. So I think I would like The Witcher if I had played it earlier, if I could dedicate a longer period of time to it. But sadly I can't at the moment. Perhaps I will really start, or I will just buy the second part and start all over again. But yeah, that were one of the things what I kind of want to talk about role-playing games, and why I'm not a big fan of story-heavy role-playing games. And there was, I don't know if anybody of you heard about that, but there was this huge argument a few months ago in the internet, about a BioWare employee, and she suggested that if you give people the option to skip dialogue, then you should also give them the option to skip combat. Because there are people out there who play Mass Effect just for the story, and they really, really blow at doing the fighting part and stuff like that. And again, this is something where I say, why do you not make games like Mass Effect a visual novel? I didn't really play a lot of Mass Effect. I only played Mass Effect 1. I did play it. That's the thing. I usually don't say this game sucks while I have never played it. I usually play the games even though I may think that I do not like them. But in Mass Effect, the combat, in my opinion, was kind of boring. And if you take the game's combat away, you have a visual novel. And yeah, I don't get why all story-heavy role-playing games are called role-playing games. In my opinion, Mass Effect is not a role-playing game. None of, barely anything has to do with your character traits or your character stats and so on. And that's another thing that bothered me with Oblivion and Skyrim, stuff like that. Is this, I hate these mini games in lockpicking. It is so unnecessary. If my character has 100 lockpicking skill and he's a master of lockpicking, then he should be able to pick every lock in the world. Just because I suck at this shouldn't mean that my character sucks at this. It's the same, I love bow combat. I usually, in the Elder Scrolls games, I either play a paladin, a monk, or a rogue archer. One of these archetypes. And with the rogue archer, I suck at using a bow. And that was pissing me off. Usually I suck at, if an enemy's running towards me or zigzagging, then I am totally helpless. I can't hit the broad side of a barn usually. Except the enemy is standing, then I'm good at sniping. I'm just not good at adjusting fast. I don't know why. So my character has like 70, 80 skills in bow, but he cannot hit a flying dragon, because I cannot hit a flying dragon. And that's why I kind of prefer games like Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. Where these things determine whether I hit something, whether I can pick a lock, and so on and so forth. And that's why I kind of prefer video games or role-playing games with a lot of numbers. The numbers should determine whether, like I said, whether I can do the job or I can't do the job. And that's one thing. I kinda don't like Fallout 3. Because in my opinion there was a reason why you usually skipped over the wasteland traveling in the other Fallouts. But anyways, people told me there's so much to find in the Fallout wasteland. And they may be right. I did look, it looked too samey for me. I didn't like the game. A lot, again, too much blah blah, too less combat. And what I did like about Fallout 3, and I wish they would have done this, is giving you the option of doing the VETS mode all the time. Like, you get into combat, the game turns round based, and only your character stats depend the outcome of the combat. Nothing else. That's what I would have liked. Like in the other Fallout games. You have your free movement. As soon as an enemy spots you and attacks you, you go into turn-based mode. I would have loved that. Well, because when did you use the VETS mode in Fallout? You usually used it when there were like two enemies close to you and you kinda had to kill them now because you were low in health. You turn to the VETS mode and shoot him 2 times in the head, shoot him 2 times in the head, and boom, they're gone. Anyways. Yeah, like I said, just because I mentioned a few games, like the Ultima series is a good series. If you like the Ultima series, then I can say you have a good taste in games. If you like Mass Effect, then I may also say you have a good taste in games, just not really. It is just not for me, it is not a real role-playing game. It is a visual novel, in my opinion. Games like Planescape Torment, I don't know. I can't get into this game, and I think I never will. And no matter what people tell me how awesome it is, I don't even like the story. And if I don't like the story, I'm not reading a book because people tell me it's awesome. If I read a book and the first 10-20 pages tell me, yeah, this book isn't your taste, yes, isn't your taste, then why should I carry on? People said Final Fantasy 13. Yeah, if you are past the first 40 hours of the game gets interesting, because then you have this open world and stuff. Really. I have to play the first 40 hours that I wouldn't like, because the story is such a huge pile of mess. Before it gets entertaining for me. I wouldn't do anything I hate for 40 hours if there's a good thing at the end. I perhaps if I put a fork into my balls for the next 40 hours, I may find enjoyment into this at the end. But I am not going to try that. Yeah, this is not something I would try. Anyways, I talked now for almost an hour. And yeah. Like I said, just my opinion, and playing story or disliking story heavy games or whatever, it doesn't have anything to do with your intelligence or whatever, because I heard it quite a lot. I heard a lot of people always boasting like, oh, people who love the deep story of Mass Effect, they are so intelligent, and if you do not like Gothic, then you are scum, and how could you call yourself a role-playing lover if you don't like story? The funny thing is, except the Ultima series, all the wood role RPGs of the computer RPGs, none of them had a real deep story. Can anybody tell me the story of Wizardry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It was usually something like, there's a bad guy down in the dungeon, go down there and kill him. It's the same with the Might and Magic series. Might and Magic series has this kind of overarching story with the ancients, but it wasn't really that important to enjoy the game. I did not mention Knights of the Old Republic, but with Knights of the Old Republic, I have to say I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. Yeah, I can enjoy watching episode 4, 5 and 6, but that's it. Everything else, yeah. So that's why I didn't enjoy Knights of the Old Republic. Another old game's Dungeon Master. What is the story of Dungeon Master? Does anybody care? The story of Dungeon Master is that the Grey Lord failed in an experiment and got split into Lord Order and Lord Chaos. And you have to find the Fire Staff, because the Fire Staff is the only thing that can restore balance again and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the story of Dungeon Master. Not a bad story. It's just totally unnecessary to win the game. That's a good thing in my opinion. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just repeating myself now. I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And we will see each other soon. So, take care and goodbye.